A song for a barbarian reed pipe. What my brother actually said was, I drove Mom and second aunt to Los Angeles to see aunt's husband, who's got the other wife. Did she hit him? What did she say? What did he say? Nothing much. Mom did all the talking. What did she say? She said he'd better take them to lunch at least. Which wife did he sit next to? What did they eat? I didn't go. The other wife didn't either. He motioned us not to tell. I would have told. If I was his wife, I would have told. I would have gone to lunch and kept my ears open. You know they don't talk when they eat. What else did Mom say? I don't remember. I pretended a pedestrian broke her leg so he would come. There must have been more. Didn't Aunt get in one nasty word? She must have said something. No, I don't think she said anything. I don't remember her saying one thing. In fact, it wasn't me my brother told about going to Los Angeles. One of my sisters told me what he told her. His version of the story may be better than mine because of its bareness, not twisted into designs. The hearer can carry it tucked away without it taking up much room. Long ago in China, knot makers tied string into buttons and frogs, and rope into bell pulls. There was one knot so complicated that it blinded the knot maker. Finally, an emperor outlawed this cruel knot, and the nobles could not order it any more. If I had lived in China, I would have been an outlawed knot maker. Maybe that's why my mother cut my tongue. She pushed my tongue up and sliced the frenum. Or maybe she snipped it with a pair of nail scissors. I don't remember her doing it, only her telling me about it, but all during childhood. I felt sorry for the baby whose mother waited with scissors or a knife in hand for it to cry, and then, when its mouth was wide open like a baby bird's, cut. The Chinese say, a ready tongue is an evil. I used to curl up my tongue in front of the mirror and tauten my frenum into a white line, itself as thin as a razor blade. I saw no scars in my mouth. I thought perhaps I had had 2 frena, and she had cut one. I made other children open their mouths so I could compare theirs to mine. I saw perfect pink membranes stretching into precise edges that looked easy enough to cut. Sometimes I felt very proud that my mother committed such a powerful act upon me. At other times I was terrified. The first thing my mother did when she saw me was to cut my tongue. Why did you do that to me, Mother? I told you. Tell me again. I cut it so that you would not be tongue-tied. Your tongue would be able to move in any language. You'll be able to speak languages that are completely different from one another. You'll be able to pronounce anything. Your frenum looked so tight to do those things, so I cut it. But isn't a ready tongue an evil? Things are different in this ghost country. Did it hurt me? Did I cry and bleed? I don't remember. Probably. She didn't cut the other children's. When I asked cousins and other Chinese children whether their mothers had cut their tongues loose, they said, "What? Why didn't you cut my brother's and sister's tongue?" They didn't need it. Why not? Were theirs longer than mine? Why don't you quit blabbering and get to work? If my mother was not lying, she should have cut more, scraped away the rest of the frenum skin, because I have a terrible time talking. Or she should not have cut it at all, tampering with my speech. When I went to kindergarten and had to speak English for the first time, I became silent. A dumbness, a shame, still cracks my voice in two, even when I want to say hello casually, or ask an easy question in front of the checkout counter, or ask directions of a bus driver. I stand frozen, or I hold up the line with a complete grammatical sentence that comes squeaking out at impossible length. "What did you say?" says the cab driver, or "Speak up," so I have to perform again, only weaker the second time. A telephone call makes my throat bleed and takes up that day's courage. It spoils my day with self-disgust when I hear my broken voice come skittering out into the open. It makes people wince to hear it. I'm getting better, though. Recently, I asked the postman for special issue stamps. I've waited since childhood for postmen to give me some of their own accord. I am making progress, a little every day. My silence was thickest, total, during the 3 years that I covered my school paintings with black paint. I painted layers of black over houses and flowers and suns, and when I drew on the black board, I put a layer of chalk on top. I was making a stage curtain, and it was the moment before the curtain parted or rose. The teachers called my parents to school, and I saw they had been saving my pictures, curling and cracking, all alike in black. The teachers pointed to the pictures and looked serious, talked serious too, but my parents did not understand English. "The parents and teachers of criminals were executed," said my father. My parents took the pictures home. I spread them out, so black and full of possibilities, and pretended the curtains were swinging open, flying up one after the other, sunlight underneath, mighty operas. During the first silent year, I spoke to no one at school, did not ask before going to the lavatory, and flunked kindergarten. My sister also said nothing for 3 years, silent in the playground, and silent at lunch. There were other quiet Chinese girls not of our family, but most of them got over it sooner than we did. I enjoyed the silence. At first it did not occur to me I was supposed to talk or to pass kindergarten. I talked at home and to 1 or 2 of the Chinese kids in class. I made motions and even made some jokes. I drank out of a toy saucer when the water spilled out of the cup, and everybody laughed, pointing at me, so I did it some more. I didn't know that Americans don't drink out of saucers. I like the Negro students, black ghosts, best because they laughed the loudest and talked to me as if I were a daring talker too. One of the Negro girls had her mother coil braids over her ears, Shanghai style like mine. We were Shanghai twins except that she was covered with black like my paintings. 2 Negro kids enrolled in Chinese school, and the teachers gave them Chinese names. Some Negro kids walked me to school and home, protecting me from the Japanese kids who hit me and chased me and stuck gum in my ears. The Japanese kids were noisy and tough. They appeared one day in kindergarten, released from concentration camp, which was a tic-tac-toe mark like barbed wire on the map. It was when I found out I had to talk that school became a misery, that the silence became a misery. I did not speak and felt bad each time that I did not speak. I read aloud in 1st grade, though, and heard the barest whisper with little squeaks come out of my throat. "Louder," said the teacher, who scared the voice away again. The other Chinese girls did not talk either, so I knew the silence had to do with being a Chinese girl. Reading out loud was easier than speaking because we did not have to make up what to say, but I stopped often, and the teacher would think I'd gone quiet again. I could not understand I. The Chinese I has 7 strokes, intricacies. How could the American I, assuredly wearing a hat like the Chinese, have only 3 strokes, the middle so straight? Was it out of politeness that this writer left off strokes the way a Chinese has to write her own name, small and crooked? No, it was not politeness. I is a capital and U is lowercase. I stared at that middle line and waited so long for its black center to resolve into tight strokes and dots that I forgot to pronounce it. The other troublesome word was here. No strong consonant to hang on to, and so flat, when here is two mountainous ideographs. The teacher, who had already told me every day how to read I and here, put me in the low corner under the stairs again, where the noisy boys usually sat. When my second grade class did a play, the whole class went to the auditorium except the Chinese girls. The teacher, lovely and Hawaiian, should have understood about us, but instead left us behind in the classroom. Our voices were too soft or non-existent, and our parents never signed the permission slips anyway. They never signed anything unnecessary. We opened the door a crack and peeked out, but closed it again quickly. One of us, not me, won every spelling bee, though. I remember telling the Hawaiian teacher, "We Chinese can't sing Land Where Our Fathers Died." She argued with me about politics while I meant because of curses. But how can I have that memory when I couldn't talk? My mother says that we, like the ghosts, have no memories. After American school, we picked up our cigar boxes in which we have arranged books, brushes, and an ink box neatly, and went to Chinese school from 5 to 7:30 p.m. There we chanted together, voices rising and falling, loud and soft, some boys shouting, everybody reading together, reciting together, and not alone with one voice. When we had a memorization test, the teacher let each of us come to his desk and say the lesson to him privately, while the rest of the class practiced copying or tracing. Most of the teachers were men. The boys who were so well behaved in the American school played tricks on them and talked back to them. The girls were not mute. They screamed and yelled during recess. When there were no rules, they had fistfights. Nobody was afraid of children hurting themselves or of children hurting school property. The glass doors to the red and green balconies with the gold job symbols were left wide open so that we could run out and climb the fire escapes. We played Capture the Flag in the auditorium, where Sun Yat-sen and Chiang Kai-shek's pictures hung at the back of the stage, the Chinese flag on their left and the American flag on their right. We climbed the teak ceremonial chairs and made flying leaps off the stage. One flag headquarters was behind the glass door and the other on stage right. Our feet drummed on the hollow stage. During recess, the teachers locked themselves up in their office with the shelves of books, copybooks, inks from China. They drank tea and warmed their hands at a stove. There was no play supervision. At recess, we had the school to ourselves, and also we could roam as far as we could go, downtown, Chinatown stores, home, as long as we returned before the bell rang. At exactly 7:30, the teacher again picked up the brass bell that sat on his desk and swung it over our heads, while we charged down the stairs, our cheering magnified in the stairway. Well, nobody had to line up. Not all of the children who were silent at American school found voice at Chinese school. One new teacher said each of us had to get up and recite in front of the class. Who was to listen? My sister and I had memorized the lesson perfectly. We said it to each other at home, one chanting, one listening. The teacher called on my sister to recite first. It was the first time a teacher had called on the second-born to go first. My sister was scared. She glanced at me and looked away. I looked down at my desk. I hoped that she could do it because if she could, then I would have to. She opened her mouth and a voice came out that wasn't a whisper, but it wasn't a proper voice either. I hoped that she would not cry, fear breaking up her voice like twigs underfoot. She sounded as if she were trying to sing though weeping and strangling. She did not pause or stop to end the embarrassment. She kept going until she said the last word, and then she sat down. When it was my turn, the same voice came out, a crippled animal running on broken legs. You could hear splinters in my voice, bones rubbing jagged against one another. I was loud, though. I was glad I didn't whisper. There was one little girl who whispered. You can't entrust your voice to the Chinese either. They want to capture your voice for their own use. They want to fix up your tongue to speak for them. How much less can you sell it for? We have to say. Talk the sales ghosts down. Make them take a loss. We were working at the laundry when a delivery boy came from the Rexall drugstore around the corner. He had a pale blue box of pills, but nobody was sick. Reading the label, we saw that it belonged to another Chinese family, Crazy Mary's family. Not ours, said my father. He pointed out the name to the delivery ghost, who took the pills back. My mother muttered for an hour, and then her anger boiled over. That ghost! That dead ghost! How dare he come to the wrong house? She could not concentrate on her marking and pressing. A mistake! Huh! I was getting angry myself. She fumed. She made her press crash and hiss. Revenge. We've got to avenge this wrong on our future, on our health, and on our lives. Nobody's going to sicken my children and get away with it. We brothers and sisters did not look at one another. She would do something awful, something embarrassing. She'd already been hinting that during the next eclipse we slam pot lids together to scare the frog from swallowing the moon. The word for eclipse is frog swallowing the moon. When we had not banged lids at the last eclipse and the shadow kept receding anyway, she'd say, the villagers must be banging and clanging very loudly back home in China. On the other side of the world, they aren't having an eclipse, Mama. That's just a shadow the earth makes when it comes between the moon and the sun. You're always believing what those ghost teachers tell you. Look at the size of the jaws. Aha! She yelled. You, the biggest. She was pointing at me. You go to the drugstore. What do you want me to buy, Mother? I said. But nothing. Don't bring 1 cent. Go and make them stop the curse. I don't want to go. I don't know how to do that. There are no such things as curses. They'll think I'm crazy. If you don't go, I'm holding you responsible for bringing a plague on this family. What am I supposed to do when I get there? I said, sullen, trapped. Do I say, your delivery boy made a wrong delivery? They know he made a wrong delivery. I want you to make them rectify their crime. I felt sick already. She'd make me swing stinky censers around the counter at the druggist, at the customers, throw dog blood on the druggist. I couldn't stand her plans. You get reparation candy, she said. You say, you have tainted my house with sick medicine and must remove the curse with sweetness. He'll understand. He didn't do it on purpose, and no, he won't, Mother. They don't understand stuff like that. I won't be able to say it right. He'll call us beggars. You just translate. She searched me to make sure I wasn't hiding any money. I was sneaky and bad enough to buy the candy and come back pretending it was a free gift. My mother says, give me some candy, I said to the druggist. Be cute and small. No one hurts the cute and small. What? Speak up. Speak English, he said, big in his white druggist coat. To give me some candy. The druggist leaned way over the counter and frowned. Some free candy, I said. Sample candy. We don't give sample candy, young lady, he said. My mother said, you have to give us candy. She said that is the way the Chinese do it. What? That is the way the Chinese do it. Do what? Do things. I felt the weight and immensity of things impossible to explain to the druggist. Can I give you some money? He asked. No, we want candy. He reached into a jar and gave me a handful of lollipops. He gave us candy all year round. year after year, every time we went to the drugstore. When different druggists or clerks waited on us, they also gave us candy. They had talked us over. They gave us Halloween candy in December, Christmas candy around Valentine's Day, candy hearts at Easter, and Easter eggs at Halloween. "See," said our mother, "they understand. You kids just aren't very brave." But I knew they did not understand. They thought we were beggars without a home who lived in back of the laundry. They felt sorry for us. I did not eat their candy. I did not go inside the drugstore or walk past it unless my parents forced me to. Whenever we had a prescription filled, the druggist put candy in the medicine bag. This is what Chinese druggists normally do, except they give raisins. My mother thought she taught the druggist ghosts a lesson in good manners, which is the same word as traditions. My mouth went permanently crooked with effort, turned down on the left side and straight on the right. How strange that the emigrant villagers are shouters, hollering face to face. My father asks, "Why is it I can hear Chinese from blocks away? Is it that I understand the language, or is it they talk loud?" They turn the radio up full blast to hear the operas, which do not seem to hurt their ears, and they yell over the singers that wail over the drums, everybody talking at once, big arm gestures, spit flying. You can see the disgust on American faces looking at women like that. It isn't just the loudness, it is the way Chinese sounds, ching-chong ugly, to American ears, not beautiful like Japanese sayonara words, with the consonants and vowels as regular as Italian. We make guttural peasant noise and have tunduk thang names you can't remember, and the Chinese can't hear Americans at all. The language is too soft and Western music unbearable. I've watched a Chinese audience laugh, visit, talk story, and holler during a piano recital, as if the musician could not hear them. A Chinese American, somebody's son, was playing Chopin, which has no punctuation, no cymbals, no gongs.